The National Wildlife Refuge System came into being at the dawn of the 20th century as Americans sought to safeguard the nation's wildlife bounty. In that era, commercial hunters were pursuing big game into oblivion for antlers and hides, and taking birds in vast numbers for their meat and feathers. Conservationists took a stand at Florida's Pelican Island, a critical breeding ground for brown pelicans, white egrets, and other birds. In 1903, President Theodore Roosevelt established this tiny 5.5-acre island as America's first national wildlife refuge. And soon, other refuges followed. The Wichita Mountains Refuge was created in Oklahoma in 1905 to provide a haven for the American bison. Although these great shaggy beasts had once numbered in the millions, by the early 20th century, so few bison remained that the government had to ship 15 survivors from a New York zoo to form the starter herd for the new refuge. Other sanctuaries were decreed for pronghorn antelope and bighorn sheep. And after 10,000 elk starved to death on shrinking wintering grounds in Wyoming, the government established the National Elk Refuge in 1912 and launched a winter feeding program. In the 1930s, the devastating droughts of the Dust Bowl years dealt another blow to wildlife, drying out the prairie marshes that migratory waterfowl needed for nesting, feeding, and resting stops. But hunters came to the aid of waterfowl, backing a proposal to purchase duck stamps to generate funds to buy and restore wetlands. After the act passed in 1934, the nation's refuge chief, J. Clark Sawyer, drove around the country scouring the landscape for likely duck habitats. By the end of the Dust Bowl era, he had added more than 100 new refuges to the system, many located along traditional waterfowl migration routes. In 1980, the system grew once again, as the addition of vast acreages in Alaska provided protection to nesting grounds for millions of birds and habitats for everything from giant Kodiak bears to Pacific salmon. Now, more than a century after its founding, the system has expanded to include refuges in every state, as well as 5 territories. And the system takes in virtually every type of habitat in the nation, from the rainforest to the desert, and from the tundra to the tropics. These refuges provide places to rest and reproduce for literally hundreds of species of birds, mammals, fish, reptiles, and other creatures. Included in that tally are 250 threatened and endangered species. Creatures that might not survive, but for the presence of these protected lands. To enhance the survival of all the species under their care, refuge employees work behind the scenes, improving habitats, building wildlife populations, and conducting research to learn how to better meet wildlife's needs. In this way, the refuge system is helping to ensure that the complex webs of life, woven over many thousands of years, remain intact for future generations.